Okay, so today's project is the Chinese diesel heater in the camper. And I really wish I had this sooner. Okay, so I'm in Summersville, Colorado. Over to Love's, they have an actual campground. We're the only ones here. And you notice it's snowing. So they said there was a winter storm advisory, and we were going to take heat on this. And what ended up happening was, well, today's been a rough day. High winds up to 65 miles an hour. We decided to get off the highway, take some local routes, and just so that we can control the speed a little bit better, because semi trucks are like swerving and stuff on the highway. We didn't want to become an accident. So we got off the highway, took some local routes. Then there was a rainstorm that came through. We noted that, went to a rest stop that was off of one of the local routes, and stopped there, checked the radar, said, hey, if we sit here for a couple of hours, this thing will pass through and it will barely hit us. So we just sat there for a couple of hours, started getting things a little organized in the camper, totally shot our plans for travel. And then there was a winter storm advisory, which we knew about too, and we decided we were going to take heat on that and just stop a little earlier than planned. Then my wife goes, well, if we go this a little further, you know, blah 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 blah, you know, basically, yeah, it didn't work out the way we hoped. Got down a road. Apparently in Colorado, you guys don't plow your roads all the time, so roads don't get plowed. This road doesn't get plowed except between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. We got about halfway here and got stuck. The little traverse wouldn't go anymore. When we started, it wasn't really accumulating. It started snowing. It was whiteout conditions, but it wasn't accumulating on the pavement. So we thought we'd be okay. Got about halfway through and got stuck. So after a $400 tow bill, service truck, 4-wheel drive came by, pulled the camper to the spot. We were able to drive the traverse through the snow, and this is where we are. Picked up this heater prior to our trip, but I didn't have the camper here to go ahead and put it in there, and I didn't have, and it's quite involved, and as I'm going through every single step, I'm noticing I need a new item time and time again. So what I'm actually trying to do is, right now I'm going to be working on the gas tank for it. I'm waiting for a couple parts to go in. One of them's for the gas tank. I ordered these. These have to go back to Amazon. These nuts are too big. I can't get it around any which way to get in there, so I had to order a new vent. And those should be in tomorrow morning. Amazon doesn't fail me. But I bought this new standpipe in this, and we're going to use this jerry can or this NATO can to make a gas tank. I decided to go with the NATO can and then went with the provided can because the provided can had the spout on the top. It was going to be difficult to pour fuel into it, whereas the NATO can I can lay on its side and I'll be able to fill it up very easily through the actual container. It is metal as opposed to plastic, which helps, I guess. The other reason why is I had this laying around, so I might as well use it for something. So this one here, and because of the way the spout was designed and where I plan to put it, it's not going to quite work out the same way as the NATO can is going to work out. Because this was hitting the top of it, because it's going in through the pass-through of the travel trailer, and this was going to hit the top of it. This is a little bit larger capacity too. This is about 2.5 gallons, exactly 10 liters. Everything's done in metric with this. So it's going to be a fun, exciting experience. And first thing we need to do is figure out exactly where this is going to end up. But apparently take this rubber washer off, and there's a lot of videos on how to do this kind of stuff with these Chinese diesel heaters. I have my own little variation of things I got to take care of, and we're actually going to mark the pipe where it needs to go. Now it's going to go on this side, and the reason why is like an indentation on this. It's not bad or anything, it's just there. We're going to put the washer on there, mark it. When you need it, you want to make sure it's not around any of these round parts. You want it nice and flat, but that will tell us roughly about where it has to go
And I am just going to outline this whole thing because I'm just feeling crazy like that. In order to do this, you need a 25mm drill bit. Fun fact is you can probably do it with a step bit, but that's about all you're going to find because it's something like 63/64 is the exact conversion for 25mm. Now I picked this up from Home Depot and it reads 1 inch. And if you look underneath it, 25mm. If you do the actual conversions, 25mm is not 1 inch, but it's pretty darn close. It's something like 25.126 millimeters. So we'll get this opened and put it in the drill and get started. Well, actually, before I even do that, we're going to drill a pilot hole into the can. Okay, so before I drill my pilot hole, I'm going to turn the can upside down. And the reason why I want to do this is because when I drill, I want all of the shavings to fall down and not into the can. So we're going to have to do this from the underbelly. This ain't working out very well. Just fall all over the place, why don't you? Need a washer? Alright, so we got our hole in our can. What we're going to need to do, get our stovepipe bent out and measured. It's about how deep we need it. I'm going to cut it about there. And I'm going to go ahead and use a hacksaw to cut this because I don't want to crimp it with some kind of cutters or something like that, you know, it might be faster. Now it has this little flange on it. And that's got to go inside the tank. It's just a matter of bending it in like that. Put in our brass washer. Put on the brass nut. However, this will allow me for a little bit. It does secure the lid. The lid definitely secures a lot better on this than it does on the plastic jug. Even though this one already had a breather built into it, these little divots here are supposed to be for anti-slosh to prevent it, but you still can't really fill this up all the way, even though it's supposed to hold 2.5 gallons. Probably only going to be able to get like 2 gallons out of this. This is a 5-gallon tank laying on its side. I'll probably get a good at least 4.5 gallons out of this. So we'll have some extra fuel, stay warmer longer. And I'm going to tell you, I really could have used that on this last trip. Wish I would have put it in beforehand, but again, circumstances didn't allow it. I left the heater here, and I really didn't have all the tools I needed to do it on the road anyway. We're going to get it in now, and hopefully maybe even be able to use it this weekend. Today's Thursday, we have the solar eclipse on Monday, and we're leaving tomorrow. Alright, I'm going to show you some of the work I've already done inside the camper for mounting this. As I progressed and moved forward, realized I needed some more parts. So I ordered those parts. The main one is supposed to come in today. So the only thing I'm missing right now, I think, is that breather, which is supposed to come in tomorrow morning. Worst case scenario, I put it in later. I have this plate in here, it's just sitting in there. There's a couple screwdrivers in there. I found out that there's a little bit of an issue in here, that the floor is insulated and has like a Tyvek cover over top of that. But what I did, one of the things that I did is, you notice this hole in the back, the heater's going to sit in here. This hole goes all the way through, and I have just a vent cover on the other side. I'll show it to you later. But ultimately I have all my electricals here, so I can wire it directly into the fuse box. I got my ground. I am going to put an additional switch on it so that I can completely shut it off, not have phantom power coming out of it when I don't need it. It's actually got to go down through the ground. One of the issues I found out, I got a plywood floor. And in the plywood floor, I have to cut out and basically seal up around all of that again because it's got the Tyvek underlayment. But I have a metal plate that's going to go in there and at the like a bigger plate, and it's actually going to get cut around the entire plate so that the heater is not sitting right next to the wood floor. Let me show you what I did in back here. Then over here I just kind of took and put a vent that was from whatever hardware store. I went to Menards. This is, I think, a 6x6 in there so that it can draw the air in and it's not locked up in underneath the seat here. This is what I've been waiting for all day long. It's called a turret or a mounting plate. I put some of this Teflon tape on it just because, well, I had it. I drilled a hole through the floor for it to fit into. Basically, this heater gets really hot. I didn't want the pipes right next to the wood, so this should give some space for it to dissipate. Any kind of gaps or anything, because you see there's quite a bit from that hole, I'll fill in with some red RTV, and the heater will mount right on top of that. But that was what I was waiting for so long. So I'm going to be able to fill it up. This is the driver's side. Both my vehicles have the fill nozzle on the driver's side. Probably pull up to one pump, fill up the car, and then pull up the other pump, fill up the diesel tank. Okay, so we got the diesel heater all set up. I got fuel in it. We should be ready to go. All we have to do is prime it. We're supposed to hit these two buttons here. There it goes. And you can hear the tap 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 tap. That's the pump priming. So I'm going to go underneath and take a look and see when we're ready to prime, because it's got a clear filter, so I can at least get a good rough idea when we're going to need to stop it. Okay, so I guess it automatically stops when the pump is primed. So we should be able just to turn the heater on. Hear the pump tick 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 away. So let's see if we're blowing hot air. Well, it's blowing air. Set at 11 degrees Celsius. Here it is, it's running, it's going. I have it set to 22 degrees Celsius. It started right around 14 degrees Celsius. So this is actually, we'll bring it up to about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'll just have to see if it does its automatic shut off or not. But I had to play with the settings. I don't want to get into whole settings. There's whole channels on YouTube dedicated to just these little heaters here. So if you need help, there's plenty of help out there for you. But I just wanted to give my little take on installing it, and if you've never seen one of these suckers before, well, you can see what it takes to actually install it. Okay, I'm going to go through quickly the setup for this. So I wired it through the panel here. That's what that yellow fuse is, the 20 amp fuse. I did put a separate switch on it. Let's see if I can get it out of these wires here. I'll have to figure out a place to mount it. It's just an adhesive back, but just to turn it on and off, otherwise you have phantom power coming from everything. And yeah, I have a grounding strip right there. Everything else is in a wiring harness. It's pretty easy. It goes underneath, you know, there's cutouts for it and everything. I had to put this on here, not because I put it too far. I was planning on putting it right up against it, but that's because this the flange on this side and this side are the exact same size, so it has to have the tube in there. And I did know that, so I went and planned for that, to push it back just slightly so I can get that tube in there. But otherwise it's working pretty good. Let me take you underneath. So there's our starting point. Comes in from where the tank is up here. Comes through here. I put these plastic parts around all the metal. This is just for wiring, for trailer wiring, just to kind of give it a little something up between the metal parts and the hose. There's the fuel pump, or the fuel filter. Goes up to the fuel pump. You're going to want that on a 45-degree angle. And then back in here I sent the air intake back, and the muffler comes up here. I bought a second pipe so that I could attach it to the end of the muffler here. It's actually really quiet, surprisingly. I mean, it doesn't make any more noise than a what is it, the energy efficient furnaces. And then tailpipe comes out here. I'm going to put a screen on top of this so mice don't get in it. Oh, it wants to, it's hot. So mice can't get into that. Let me show you what I did up in the front side with the tank. Here's the tank. Back there you see the stovepipe that comes out, goes down. I just secured it with a bungee cord. So I'll put a couple of eye hooks, one here, one in the back. I don't think that's going to work really well, but it should work for now because I got so much stuff in here. I do have a ratchet strap in here that I have to get set up, and I'm going to take that and cut it down to size and everything, so it'll work with this. Anyways, that's the tank right now, you know, but I can move it around, be able to open this up. It's opened up. Oh, it's right, I have it running, so I probably should. I haven't put the breather in yet. That just came in today, so we're gonna do that on our trip probably. And then, yeah, it works good. Works really good. So I had it up to 22 degrees Celsius, which is about 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's one of the downfalls, is that this thermostat is only in Celsius. It doesn't come in Fahrenheit. So, but overall it's doing pretty darn good. It does get pretty hot, and it will heat up the space. Maybe take a little longer than a van, but it heats up the space. So a couple things that I noted when doing this, and a lot of things that I heard and rang true. So it does smell when you first start it up the first time around. I'm running it now for the second time. I'm not getting any smell, but it hasn't really heated up yet. But that's supposed to dissipate over time. I don't want to go into all the technicals with how to operate the thermostat and everything. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about that. There's entire channels dedicated to these heaters. So you can definitely find that information. It wasn't hard for me to find it on YouTube. Unfortunately, on forums and things like that, you're not going to find a lot of information. It's primarily YouTube, so get ready to watch a lot of videos. Anyways, I'll see you next time.